It is the world's most secretive organization. It runs on a black budget, laundering power through offshore cash and shell companies. From overthrowing foreign leaders in the Cold War to deploying algorithms and drones in the war on terror, the CIA is America's ultimate lever of power. It is the year 1945. The Second World War is ending in fire and rubble. Europe lies in ruins. The Pacific burns under the shadow of the atomic bomb. And the balance of power is about to shift. The Red Army of the Soviet Union occupies half the continent. Stalin's grip tightens around capitals from Warsaw to Bucharest. For America, it's a bad news. The United States government knows almost nothing about what the Soviets are planning. At the time, US has the Office of Strategic Services. It had fought in the shadows during the war, dropping agents behind enemy lines, sabotaging Nazi supply chains.
They were amateurs. Moscow's intelligence network ran circles around them. Even Britain's MI6 guarded secrets from Washington. America was winning the war on raw industrial might and military force, not superior intelligence.
Harry Truman inherits the presidency in April 1945.
Inside in the historic cabinet room, Vice President Harry S. Truman takes the oath of office as 32nd President, administered by Chief Justice Harlan Fiske Stone.
After the war ended, he initially shuts down the OSS, but soon he realizes the country needs to have a better and bigger intelligence service. And so, in the corridors of Washington, a new resolve takes shape. The president is about to create an organization unlike anything in American history, one that will wage a silent war across the globe. In a sealed, windowless room inside the newly formed National Security Council, a small group of men gather. Behind closed doors, they are about to create something America has never had before: a permanent peacetime spy agency. They call it the Central Intelligence Agency. Their mandate is to gather intelligence, conduct covert operations, and, if necessary, interfere in the affairs of other nations to protect U.S. interests.
National Security Act, which created the CIA in 1947, was a hurried and contentious piece of legislation. The CIA was given a broad and vague mandate, allowing it to perform such other functions and duties related to intelligence as directed by the National Security Council. This wording gave the agency a great deal of flexibility and power from the start.
The vision is clear: a network of agents and informants across the globe, covert action teams capable of toppling governments, propaganda arms to shape public opinion abroad, an intelligence service that answers directly to the president, not to Congress or the public. But there's a catch. Power like this needs money, lots of it. And asking openly would invite questions the founders can't answer. And soon an opportunity will present itself and allow CIA virtually unlimited of funds. After World War II, Europe is in ruins. Millions are homeless, hungry, and desperate. Without help, chaos and communism looks like a good option for them. But the United States will not let that happen. President Truman responds with the Truman Doctrine. The United States will support free nations resisting subjugation. Secretary of State George Marshall follows with a bold proposal: the Marshall Plan.
The seeds of totalitarian regimes are nurtured by misery and war. They spread and grow in the evil soil of poverty and strife. They reach their full growth when the hope of a people for a better life has died. We must keep that hope alive.
As they slowly digest the Paris report of the 16 nations which were invited by Secretary Marshall to propose the basis of a United States program to rehabilitate the economy of Europe, executive officials and members of Congress now in Washington are beginning to consider specific details of an eventual Marshall Plan.
But there's no doubt whatever in my mind that if we decide to do this thing, we can do it successfully. And there's also no doubt in my mind that the whole world hangs in the balance as to what it is to be in connection with what we're endeavoring to put forward here.
Over 4 years, the United States pours more than $13 billion into Europe, over $150 billion today. Officially, the money funds food shipments, machinery, fuel, and infrastructure. But inside the fine print is a secret arrangement. 5% of Marshall Plan's funds was diverted to the CIA, about $685 million. The money will be used to influence elections, bribing politicians, funding friendly labor unions, and running propaganda campaigns across Europe. But having money is not the same as having success. The Soviets are entrenched, their networks deep. The CIA now has its war chest, but the shadow war will demand far more than just dollars. In the late 1940s, the Soviet KGB was the gold standard of espionage. Its network stretched across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Decades of tradecraft and ruthless discipline made it nearly untouchable. The CIA is a rookie. During one of its earliest operations, a team of Ukrainian agents, trained by the CIA, parachutes into Soviet-held territory. The drop was doomed before the plane even left the runway. One of the mission's key handlers is secretly a Soviet informant, feeding every detail straight to the KGB. Within days, every man is killed or captured.
The failures were so widespread and so consistent that they could not be dismissed as simple bad luck or poor tradecraft. The CIA was, in the phrase of one internal report, fatally penetrated. The consequences were devastating. Not only were missions a constant failure, but the CIA's reputation was so damaged that recruitment became nearly impossible.
At the time, Walter Bedell Smith is the head of the CIA. After countless humiliating failures, he fears that this agency will be written off as an amateur sideshow, and his own reputation will be buried with it. The CIA needs a headline victory, something that shouts competence to the White House and terror to its enemies. And before long, that opportunity presents itself.
Premier Mohammad Mossadegh appointed a committee today to prepare a full list of Iran's claims against the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which formerly operated the oil concession in this country, in case the claims should ever be submitted to an international tribunal.
It is the year of 1953. Iran stands at the center of the Cold War map. Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh just nationalized the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, stripping Britain of its lucrative control. London has siphoned Iran's oil wealth for decades, and it is not about to let a prime minister stand in the way. So it turns to Washington, hoping the CIA will take him out. Walter Bedell Smith approves the plan. The plan is given a name: Operation Ajax. At its center is a man who will never appear in the headlines, CIA officer Kermit Roosevelt Jr., the grandson of a president. Roosevelt slips into Tehran with over $1 million in CIA funds. The plan is as old as politics: bribe the right people, spread the right lies, and let the streets do the rest.
Parliamentarians are bought. Newspaper editors are paid to print stories branding Mossadegh a corrupt dictator. Radio programs broadcast calls for the Shah's loyal citizens to rise up.
After initial setbacks, military officers loyal to the Shah are rallied. Tanks appear in the streets. Mobs are paid to fight off Mossadegh's supporters. On August 19th, soldiers storm the Prime Minister's home. Mossadegh escapes over a garden wall, but is captured within hours. With Mossadegh gone, the oil fields fall back under Western influence. In Langley, The coup is hailed as a masterpiece, a textbook covert operation. The Iran coup was a clean, decisive, and swift. But toppling a democracy for oil set a dangerous precedent. They planted the seed of chaos that someday will come back and haunt America. The 1950s turn into a blur of CIA coups and clandestine battles. In Guatemala, 1954, the agency topples President Jacobo Arbenz, using propaganda, mercenaries, and economic pressure. It looks like another Tehran. But not every play hits. In Indonesia, an attempt to destabilize Sukarno fizzles. In Cuba, early plots to undermine Fidel Castro go nowhere. In Eastern Europe, operations are rolled up by the KGB before they begin. Alan Dulles, now Director of Central Intelligence, sees the writing on the wall. Richard Bissell, a brilliant planner with a taste for big projects, joins the fold. They agree. The agency's future lies in the skies and in technology no one else can match.
So it became obvious that America just was not great at hiring deep cover spies. The place was infiltrated by so many foreign agents. So at some point they stopped pretending to beat KGB at their own game and leaned into what America was good at, which was building great technologies.
The CIA begins to pivot. Covert coups remain in the playbook, but the next big breakthrough won't come from a suitcase of cash. It will come from a machine. And that machine will be called the U-2. In the early Cold War, reconnaissance is risky business. The best the US has are modified bombers and fighter jets. They fly low enough for Soviet radar to see, slow enough for interceptors to catch, and vulnerable enough that a single missile can end the mission.
By the mid-1950s, that was no longer acceptable. The Soviets were building nuclear sites, and Washington needed to have eyes on them now.
Alan Dulles at the CIA partners with the Air Force. Richard Bissell becomes project chief. Lockheed's Skunk Works under Kelly Johnson takes the lead on design. The result is the U-2, a jet that can fly at 70,000 feet, higher than any Soviet fighter or missile can reach. It has sailplane-like wings stretching over 100 feet, giving it the lift to cruise in the stratosphere. Cameras mounted in its belly can photograph objects 2 feet wide from 13 miles up. Its range lets it cross the Soviet heartland and come back without refueling. This isn't just an airplane, it's a spy satellite with a pilot. The Soviets can see it on radar, but can't touch it. Every mission brings home rolls of film that redraw the maps in the Pentagon and the White House.
The U-2 spy plane, a powered glider with a camera in its belly, was a major technological triumph for the CIA. The CIA's estimates of Soviet military strength were based on guesswork, not intelligence. The U-2 was meant to provide the crucial information needed to challenge these claims.
Members of the Vietnamese government delegation here are resigned to the prospect that an armistice may soon be concluded under which the Viet Minh forces would occupy large areas of Vietnam. It is assumed that virtually all the northern half of the country may go to the communist-led rebels.
Since 1954, the Geneva Accords split Vietnam in two, and the US steps in to prevent the communist North from swallowing the South. On paper, America is an advisor. In reality, the CIA is already pulling strings. The U-2 flies over North Vietnam and Laos, mapping supply routes, troop concentrations, and the twisting lifeline of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The pictures become the blueprint for covert strikes. The war in the shadows spreads quickly. CIA-backed militias in Laos sabotage depots and ambush convoys. Air America runs guns, radios, and operatives into jungle airstrips. In Saigon, political enemies of US-backed leaders are bribed, blackmailed, or removed.
And most of these covert actions had to do with money, and the sources of money for the CIA were not always clean.
Funding comes through channels the public never sees. Black budgets, foreign currency reserves, and illicit streams. In Laos, Hmong fighters protect opium fields in exchange for weapons and pay. In Cambodia, heroin trafficking quietly fuels operations the State Department will never acknowledge. By the mid-1960s, the shadow war appears to work. Supply lines are harassed, enemy leadership is thinned, and the South buys a few more years of survival. It feels like success. But someday soon, it will erupt into full-scale war, dragging America into a quagmire that will cost far more than any black budget ever could. In April 1961, the CIA rolls the dice on one of its boldest operations yet, the Bay of Pigs. Cuban exiles, trained and armed by the agency, land on the beaches in an attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro. The plan collapses within days. Air cover is denied, the resistance fails to materialize, and Castro's forces sweep the beaches clean. Around the world, America's image takes a hit. Inside Langley, the embarrassment is searing. For President Kennedy, it is a humiliating failure. America's image of invincibility is tarnished. He knows the CIA is to blame.
He was agitated in a way that I had never seen him before, extremely upset. And what he said more than once was, how could I have been so stupid to rely upon these advisors?
He said, we've had a big kick in the ass, and we deserved it, but we're going to learn some things from it. And one of the things he said he would learn was that he would never again be overawed by advice from the Joint Chiefs of Staff or from the CIA.
The Bay of Pigs was a humiliation. But Washington isn't backing down. The mission remains the same: stop communism from spreading, no matter the cost. And now the focus shifts south, to a slender strip of land on the edge of South America, Chile. In the early 1970s, Chile stands at a political crossroads. Salvador Allende, a Marxist, is elected president in 1970, the first in the Western Hemisphere to come to power through democratic means. He promises socialist reforms, nationalizes key industries, and builds ties with Havana and Moscow. For the White House, it's a nightmare scenario. Another Cuba, but with democratic legitimacy.
The CIA was tasked with making sure Allende's government doesn't survive. They poured millions into opposition media, fund strikes, and quietly funneled cash to political opponents. They put a lot of pressure on the economy. The currency spiraled, and there was a huge food shortage.
Behind the scenes, CIA officers work with sympathetic military leaders, sowing instability. By September 11, 1973, Chile's armed forces, led by General Augusto Pinochet, strike. Tanks roll into Santiago. The presidential palace burns. Pinochet seizes power, ushering in years of military dictatorship, marked by torture, disappearances, and repression. Washington breathes easier. Chile is back in the anti-communist camp, but the price is blood, and the world takes note. For the CIA, Chile 1973 is a reminder that covert power still works. Back in South Asia, CIA doubles down on their tactics as the Vietnam conflict escalates from advisors to full combat. CIA operations expand alongside the military, training South Vietnamese forces, running the Phoenix program, and waging war in Laos and Cambodia.
The Phoenix program was CIA's big push during Vietnam to tear apart Vietcong from the inside. They built these intelligence networks, slipped agents into enemy territory, and went after people directly. The problem is, these tactics were so brutal, so messy, that left a permanent black mark on America's name.
But Vietnam isn't the CIA's only battlefield. At home, the agency crosses a forbidden line. It begins targeting domestic opinion, funding student groups, influencing journalists, and steering cultural organizations toward anti-communist positions. Covert money flows into magazines, art exhibits, even civil rights groups the agency thinks it can sway. Codenamed Project MKUltra, under the direction of Sidney Gottlieb, the CIA experiments on unwitting subjects with LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and psychological torture. The aim is mind control.
You know, what the CIA really dreamed of was sort of like a drug you could give to someone, get them to commit all sorts of unspeakable acts, and they wake up the next day and they don't remember what they've done.
They were looking into brainwashing. They were looking into mind control. They were looking into how they could create what they called Manchurian candidates. They were trying to figure out if they could get people to go out and do things that they would ordinarily not do, like assassinations.
The mid-1970s bring turbulence on every front. The Vietnam War ends with helicopters fleeing Saigon. America's economy shudders under oil embargoes, spiraling inflation, and a deepening recession. The Soviet Union pushes for influence in Africa and the Middle East. At home, the Watergate scandal drives President Nixon from office in disgrace. The CIA isn't immune. The Church and Pike committees have stripped away its mystique. Public trust erodes. But inside Langley, the old habits remain. Secret bank accounts in Switzerland and the Caribbean keep covert funds flowing. Shell companies mask arms deals, bribes, and political payoffs. In the shadows, those secret bank accounts are more than a safety net. They are a weapon. And soon, they will bankroll an operation that will explode into a monumental event. Along the way, they will reopen an old, dirty doorway, the CIA's entanglement with the global drug trade. In the early 1980s, Iran is a nation at war with itself and its neighbors. The Shah is gone, swept away by the Islamic Revolution. Washington officially calls Iran an enemy. But inside Langley, the CIA weighs a different calculus. Every enemy is a potential channel, every crisis a potential deal.
3 Americans, a journalist, a diplomat, and a minister, were kidnapped off the sidewalks of Beirut by gunmen.
To help free the American hostages, CIA comes up with a questionable solution. Through a chain of middlemen and covert operatives, the CIA and key figures in the Reagan White House arranged to sell arms to Iran, missiles, spare parts, and other hardware they desperately need. The price is inflated. In exchange, Iran will quietly pressure Hezbollah in Lebanon to release American hostages. The profits from these secret arms sales don't stop in Tehran. They move quietly into Swiss bank accounts and offshore companies, then out again, this time to Central America. The recipients are the Contras, a rebel army fighting to topple the leftist Sandinista government in Nicaragua. But arms sales aren't the only funding stream. In Central America, cocaine traffickers move product north. The CIA's network looks the other way, or in some cases, works directly with traffickers, so long as the profits flow to Contra operations. Airstrips carry both guns and drugs, and flights that land in the US return south loaded with cash.
When the story hit in '86, it shook Washington to its core. Public hearings, indictments, outrage, you name them. People couldn't believe how far the CIA was willing to go, the lines they were willing to cross just to get things done. What comes next is a money scandal so huge, it makes Iran-Contra look like pocket change. BCCI, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International. Headquartered in Luxembourg and Pakistan, it sells itself as the Bank of the Third World, promising services for clients too shady for traditional banks. Drug traffickers, dictators, and arm dealers, they find refuge here. So billions in dirty money flow through these accounts.
The CIA finds it useful too. BCCI's web of shell companies and secret accounts makes it perfect for moving covert funds. Operations in Afghanistan, Latin America, and the Middle East are quietly bankrolled through its channels.
Money for informants, black market arms deals, even slush funds for allied intelligence agencies all flow through BCCI's books without a trace.
But by the late 1980s, the walls begin to close in. Regulators suspect BCCI is not just corrupt, it is a criminal enterprise on a global scale. Investigative reporters start pulling threads, finding connections to Colombian cartels, Middle Eastern terror groups, and political bribery on multiple continents. In 1991, the hammer falls. Authorities in 7 countries shut BCCI down in a single coordinated sweep. Investigations reveal it laundered billions for criminals, governments, and intelligence agencies alike. The scandal dents the agency's image, but soon, a bigger story will break. Because beyond the headlines, a far greater shift is coming. In Moscow, the once mighty Soviet Union is about to collapse. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapses under the weight of economic ruin, political unrest, and nationalist movements tearing it apart.
The latest crisis, the signing of an historic agreement between the 3 mighty republics, Ukraine, Russia, and Byelorussia, effectively marked the formal death of the USSR and ended Gorbachev's personal vision of a wider political union.
The red flag over the Kremlin comes down, ending nearly half a century of Cold War standoff. For the CIA, it's a strange victory. The KGB, its ruthless, cunning rival, is gone. This was the enemy that matched the agency blow for blow, from Berlin to Angola, from double agents to space espionage. They'd traded in deception, sabotage, and blood, each shaping the other's evolution. But with the Soviet Union's fall comes an unexpected crisis. The CIA's very purpose is shaken. The Cold War gave it a clear mission. Now that mission is gone. Without the KGB, what is the CIA for?
The loss of the Soviets tore out the CIA's heart. How could the agency live without its enemy?
And in the chaos of the New World Order, enemies will come in forms it has never faced before. The Soviet Union has vanished, leaving the United States unchallenged as the world's dominant power. Former Eastern Bloc nations line up to join NATO and the EU. Trade flows across borders faster than ever. The internet begins its quiet conquest of daily life. The 24-hour news cycle celebrates prosperity, not war.
We must invest more in our own people, in their jobs, and in their future, and at the same time, cut our massive debt.
In Washington, President Bill Clinton focuses on the economy. Growth, trade, and domestic policy take priority over covert wars and espionage. The CIA's funding shrinks. Overseas stations close. Decades-long networks are quietly dismantled. Experienced officers retire without replacement.
Without the Cold War, the big looming threats vanish. What's left are scattered threats. Balkans, Africa, South American cartels, rogue nation firing missiles. It's messy, but they warrant survivals on the line.
That calm will not last. Far from the headlines, a new enemy is organizing, fluid, networked, and invisible. Its weapons are not tanks or missiles, but terror. When it strikes, the CIA will be forced back into the center of the storm. The age of terrorism is about to begin. The world is getting more complicated. The CIA itself is pouring enormous resources into learning artificial intelligence, advanced engineering, and complex data analysis. Because in today's world, having mastery of these skills isn't just an advantage for experts, it's becoming essential for anyone who wants to get ahead in life. These are exactly the kinds of skills our sponsor, Brilliant, can help you build. Brilliant is an interactive platform with thousands of hands-on lessons in math, data analysis, programming, and AI.
To this world where everything is so complicated, It is so beneficial to learn the essentials of data analysis and AI. Brilliant makes it approachable. You start with the basics, and step by step, it guides you into deeper, more challenging problem solving that actually sticks. This isn't about quick hacks or trivia. It's serious, meaningful learning. Whether you want to dig into the math behind markets, master probability, or sharpen your logical reasoning, Brilliant gives you the tools to go deep, not just skim the surface. You can start learning for free today at brilliant.org/Phineas. And you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. In the mid-1990s, far from Washington's gaze, Osama bin Laden builds his army. From the mountains of Afghanistan to camps in Sudan, he recruits fighters, trains them in guerrilla warfare, and feeds them a vision of global jihad. His network, Al-Qaeda, grows in the shadows. CIA could have killed him many times over. Opportunities to kill or capture him slip away. Missed strikes, bad intelligence, political hesitation. By the late 1990s, bin Laden is no longer a lone extremist. He commands a disciplined, well-funded network with cells in the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and even the United States. Al-Qaeda is joined by other groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, Jemaah Islamiyah, forming a loose web of militants with shared goals. Then come the attacks, the US embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, the bombing of the USS Cole in Yemen. Each hit is deadlier, more daring, more coordinated.
The United States is coordinating an effort with European and African nations to roll up the terrorist networks of Osama bin Laden, the suspected mastermind of the bombings of 2 American embassies in East Africa, as fears mount that he will strike again, officials have said.
For the CIA, it's a grim development, but also a revival.
The perception of a peace dividend following the Cold War was short-lived. This growing threat, particularly from Osama bin Laden, put immense pressure on the agency, which was still struggling with its own internal problems, including a lack of manpower and technological capabilities.
Terrorism puts intelligence back in the center of national security. Budgets swell, new operations get greenlit, but no one truly sees what's coming. In secret, bin Laden plans a strike unlike anything the modern world has witnessed. It will not just kill, it will shock, paralyze, and change history in a single morning.
We're just getting reports in now that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center.
2 planes have crashed into the World Trade Center in New York.
There have been a series of terrorist attacks in the United States.
Pictures just in showed the building already on fire.
Morning of September 11th, 2001. Clear skies over New York turn to chaos as hijacked planes slam into the Twin Towers, erupting in fire and smoke. Another jet rips into the Pentagon. A 4th crashes in Pennsylvania after passengers fight back. The towers burn, then collapse in a roar of dust and steel. Nearly 3,000 dead in hours. America is stunned, grieving, and furious. For the CIA, the mission is now absolute. Find the enemy and make them pay.
It was just over 90 minutes beyond President Bush's deadline for Saddam Hussein to leave Iraq that U.S. warships and planes, there were F-117 stealth bombers involved, launched the opening salvo of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
In 2003, the CIA insists Iraq holds weapons of mass destruction. Satellite images, defectors' reports, and intercepted communications all seem to point to hidden stockpiles.
I cannot tell you everything that we know, but what I can share with you, when combined with what all of us have learned over the years, is deeply troubling. Indeed, the facts and Iraq's behavior show that Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
But it's wrong. The intelligence is flawed, and the truth won't emerge until the damage is done.
The attack came in waves, cruise missiles followed by the F-117 stealth bombers with so-called bunker-busting bombs. Their target, a bunker believed to be sheltering what are called top leaders of the Iraqi regime.
The U.S. invades Iraq. Baghdad falls in weeks. Saddam Hussein is captured, tried, and executed. But in the ruins of Iraq's palaces and weapons depots, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. There are no WMDs. The intelligence was wrong, built on bad sources, wishful thinking, and political momentum. But the war does not end. It mutates. Insurgents rise from the shadows, convoys are shredded by roadside bombs, markets turn into killing fields, U.S. troops fight street to street, house to house, in a conflict with no front lines. But for the CIA, Iraq becomes a massive theater of operations. Budgets explode. Billions flow into intelligence, surveillance, and covert action. And in the deserts of Iraq and the mountains of Afghanistan, a new weapon takes shape, one that can hunt, watch, and kill without risking a single American life. The CIA is about to bring the drone into the shadows of war.
In the old days, assassinations were very messy. You have special forces raids, car bombs, and bribes to local warlords, all risky, all expensive, and all leaving trails. The CIA wanted something cleaner, faster, and cheaper.
After September 11th and during the Iraq War, the need became urgent. Al-Qaeda's leaders vanished into the mountains. Traditional methods couldn't reach them without massive costs in lives and money.
That's when the idea took shape. An eye in the sky that could not only see the target, but kill it instantly. The CIA's drone program is born in the shadows. Built in partnership with the U.S. Air Force, its first models are simple, eyes in the sky. Then comes the leap, arming them. The Predator drone, fitted with AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, becomes both scout and assassin. The MQ-9 Reaper takes it further. Bigger, faster, with longer range, it loiters over a target for 24 hours, watching every move. Cameras read license plates from miles away. Infrared sensors pierce night and clouds. Satellite links mean a pilot sits in Nevada while striking in Pakistan. One operator can watch, track, and destroy without ever setting foot in enemy territory. For the CIA, this is revolutionary. Precision strikes without risking agents. A war without borders. A kill list can be actioned in minutes, anywhere on Earth. In Yemen, a convoy erupts in fire. In Pakistan, a compound vanishes under a plume of smoke. In Somalia, militants scatter, but the missile is faster. Each strike is recorded, logged, and filed away. Proof of a kill thousands of miles from the trigger. The CIA hails the program as a precision tool, striking high-value targets without risking a single American life. Names vanish from the most wanted list. Plots die before they're born. But so far, there is one man that has evaded CIA detection for so long. Not even the most advanced drones could locate his whereabouts. Until now. For nearly a decade after 9/11's, Osama bin Laden is the world's most wanted man. The architect of the deadliest terrorist attack in history, he slips away in Tora Bora, vanishes into Pakistan's tribal belt, and becomes a ghost. Every lead dries up. Every operation ends in frustration. Then, in 2010, a breakthrough happens. They track a suspect across Pakistan to a high-walled Abbottabad compound. Sealed from phones and the internet, guarded with unusual security. CIA analysts are convinced that it is bin Laden. The mission to take him down is clear and risky. Navy SEAL Team 6 will fly deep into Pakistan without permission, breach the compound, and capture or kill the target. On May 2nd, 2011, under the cover of darkness, the operation begins. The SEALs move room to room, clearing the compound in minutes. On the 3rd floor, they find bin Laden. 2 shots end the hunt. His body is taken away and buried at sea. For the CIA, the operation is the ultimate vindication. Years of patient surveillance, careful analysis, and relentless pursuit have paid off. But killing bin Laden doesn't erase the threat. Al-Qaeda adapts, splinters, and spreads. Terrorism becomes more decentralized, harder to track. The challenge now is to stop attacks before they happen. That means new tools, far beyond human sources and drones. The CIA finds a company that may just solve the problem for them. It is a startup that will change the course of America's history. And the man behind the startup is Alex Karp. Alex Karp grows up in Philadelphia in a Jewish family. His father is a pediatrician, his mother an artist. He studies social theory, earns a PhD from Frankfurt, and never imagines running a spy tech company. In 2003, Karp teams up with Peter Thiel, the PayPal co-founder. Thiel has an idea. What if Silicon Valley's power could be aimed at national security? What if software could find terrorists the way search engines find websites? Karp, with his outsider's mindset and fierce curiosity, is the perfect partner. Together, they create Palantir, named for the all-seeing stones from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. The CIA takes notice. Through its venture arm, In-Q-Tel, Langley invests early. Palantir's engineers work side by side with analysts, refining tools to track financial flows, communication networks, and movement patterns in real time.
Palantir's real magic is at connecting dots. It gulps down everything: phone calls, travel logs, bank wires, even live drone footage, and weaves it into a single living map. And suddenly, analysts can see the hidden web. Who's tied to who, and where the money's headed, and where the next strike might land.
The core mission of our company always was to make the West, especially America, the strongest in the world for the sake of global peace and prosperity.
For the CIA, this changes the game. Operations move faster. Targets are found in hours, not months. Terrorist cells are dismantled before they act. Drug cartels lose anonymity. Even safe houses in crowded cities are exposed by patterns no human could see unaided. With Palantir, the CIA doesn't just respond to threats, it anticipates them. The battlefield is no longer defined by geography, it's defined by information, and whoever controls it wins. The CIA today operates with one of the largest classified budgets in US history. Billions flow into cyber operations, advanced surveillance, AI-assisted analysis, and covert action.
Trump's signature legislation will push defense spending past $1 trillion with new funding for innovation and other capabilities.
On paper, it's the same mission: keep America safe. But behind the scenes, the tools, the reach, the raw power are on a complete different scale from anything the agency could have dreamed of back in 1947. Recent leaks and reporting hint at new offensive cyber capabilities, expanded drone operations, and deeper partnerships with Silicon Valley. The war in Ukraine marks a shift. The CIA is once again in the thick of proxy conflict, providing intelligence, targeting support, and training Ukrainian operatives. But another rival looms larger. Far from being an imitator, Beijing now leads in key areas: hypersonic weapons, AI surveillance, quantum communications. The CIA knows China cannot be underestimated.
in technology, espionage, and global influence, is a near-peer competitor, and the fight won't be a replay of the Cold War. Looking back, the CIA has been everything. The saboteur, kingmaker, innovator. It has toppled governments, assassinated people, and manipulated information at a scale no other agency in the world could match. But the world is entering an era of maximum complexity. Information spreads instantly. Political ideologies collide in real time. Demographic shifts transform societies. Economic systems are more interconnected and more fragile than ever. The CIA will be tested in ways it has never been tested. And in this new world, one mistake, one blind spot, could set off a chain of events that no one can stop. Thank you so much for supporting me as a YouTuber. It's because of this channel, I build connections with fund managers, traders, MBA students, and entrepreneurs. And some of those connections even help me break into the investment industry. That's why I'm building a peer network. It's a place where ambitious people like you can connect, share ideas, and help solve each other's problems. So far, we have about 200 people sign up, and we're quickly forming groups and guiding them. So if that speaks to you, click the link in the description.